I'm Sharon Wren.
And I'm Linda Cook.
And this is QC Crime Watch, where we talk about some of the cases that we've encountered over the past week and follow up on some of the ones we've talked about earlier.
Once again, neither one of us is an attorney, and we cannot give recommendations as to what you need to do for legal assistance or advice. But we do have a special show today. And because of some things that happened on Thursday, we'd like to talk about those in a little bit more depth. This is a story that if you're, I guess, may I say, over the age of 50?
I think so.
And you're from the Quad Cities, you're probably very, very familiar with.
Yes. Yesterday, there was an arrest made in the disappearance of Trudy Appleby, who was 11 when she disappeared in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Jamison Fisher, who has long been a person of interest, has been charged with 3 counts first-degree murder,
Right.
in connection with Trudy's disappearance.
Right. And concealment of a body
Right.
in connection with her disappearance. Now, yesterday, the Henry County State's Attorney told everyone at a news conference that there could have been a kidnapping charge, but because of the statute of limitations in kidnapping, that will not be filed. The other 2 charges, the concealment and murder, don't have that restriction on them. So he is in custody now.
He's in the Scott County Jail. He was arrested on charges of not having a drug tax stamp, a controlled substance violation, and a parole violation.
Okay, so he's facing more minor
Charges in Scott County.
in an unrelated case, right?
Completely unrelated. And he's being held on no bond.
Okay, well, and he will be, as I understand it, extradited to Henry County.
At the conclusion of his Scott County case.
Okay.
And he's scheduled for a hearing in that later this month.
Okay, so we'll keep track of both cases.
Right.
So Sharon, if you don't mind, I'd like to go back in 1996, because I've been following this, not necessarily with WHBF, but I was working in another medium at that time. I do remember when Trudy disappeared. And ever since, there have been vigils every year around or on her, that disappearance day, right?
Which I believe is next
August
week.
21st, I think.
That's next Thursday.
Yes. Now that'll be the 29th vigil for her. They're not sure where it's going to be yet.
Right.
But I, over the years, went to several of these. I spoke to a sister that Trudy has who never met Trudy because she was born after Trudy disappeared. I spoke to this, now again, this has been years ago. I spoke to Dennis Appleby, Trudy's father. And at one vigil, he and I were speaking privately. I mean, there were a lot of people around,
Right.
but it was just a conversation. And he said, "I'm calling him out tonight." And so he told me that was that night that he said, "I know who you are. I know you had something to do with this." And that was a man named Whipple, who was a person of interest and who has since died. There were 2 people of interest who have died over the years. Jamison Fisher is 50.
Right.
These other men were older. Jamison Fisher and I happened to be in a court hearing together. Now, this is not Mr. Fisher's first or second brush with the law, I will say that.
In either state.
In either state. So when I saw a couple of years ago that he was going to be in court, I went because I knew who he was, not because of the charges.
Right.
And he was quiet, and I watched him. He was cooperative, I will say that, and nervous acting. This involved a stolen car, this particular case, and another person was in the car as well. But for so many years, I have wondered, does he know something? Why isn't he saying something? Now, this begs more questions.
Exactly.
Did he tell someone? How do we know that? As officials said yesterday, that Trudy was strangled. How do we know that? There is no body in this case.
Not yet.
Not yet, but that is still being investigated, and there have been cases tried successfully where there are no remains. So,
I think one of the one of the county attorneys said that over 600 cases nationwide have been prosecuted to various degrees of successfulness without a body. So
this was quite a. Now you listened to the whole news conference.
Yes, and we had no clue that it was going to have anything to do with the Appleby case.
So tell us about that, Sharon. Tell us about the situation, where it was, why we were even there.
We got a press release from the Moline Police Department telling us that there was going to be a big press conference in Cambridge, Illinois, on yesterday's date. The Rock Island County attorney was going to be there. The Henry County State's attorney was going to be there. The Moline Police Department. So many police departments. We honestly thought there was another drug bust on 80.
Right.
Outside of Geneseo. Like there have been hundreds of them. And we had the TV on in the newsroom, and the minute they said that there had been an arrest in the Trudy Appleby case, I literally went.
And so did everybody else.
Yes, and I turned to everyone in the newsroom and said, we got our top story at 4, 4:30, 5, 6, 9, and 10, and probably tomorrow morning. So that was a bit of a scramble to get people out, to get it on the website, to try and line up interviews, and to tell some of our younger staff members the history of what was going on.
Sure, because not everyone who works here at our Quad Cities News is from this area.
Right.
And so this is a particular interest to people who live here and who remember.
Right.
We were able to talk to the neighbor who is the mother of the girl who is Trudy's best friend. We were able to talk to her yesterday. And she remembers Trudy coming to her house. She was turning cartwheels in her front yard. Trudy never stopped. She was always moving. And she was the woman to whom we spoke, said, "Can I help you?" to Trudy, and she said, "Do you have any kids I can play with?" And Kelly, who was the neighbor, said, "I just sent all my kids out," and she began to play with her, and with all of them, but in particular her daughter, and they were good friends. Trudy was a fun little girl. She was full of energy, full of life. So how did this happen? Well, she had wanted to go swimming one day and go to see a friend on Campbell's Island, which you're very familiar with. And her dad said, "No, you don't need to go swimming today." He thinks that she took a towel with her, that she decided she was going to go swimming anyway, because Dad was at work, right? So it's summertime.
Right.
She was seen near a car that fit a description of being associated, these are all loose terms, I guess, but we don't know, with some of the persons of interest. And some people believe that she may have been given a ride or thought she was being given a ride to where she was going, but she has not been seen since that day. The next morning, her little friend came to the friend's mom and said, "Trudy's dad is looking for her. I think someone took her."
Oh my God.
So we've spoken with relatives. We spoke with them right after the news conference. And even though there's some closure, and there is some for people, there's a trial ahead. There is evidence gathering ahead.
Yeah.
And they would very much like to put her remains to rest, if possible.
There won't be complete closure till they have her back.
Right. Imagine this happened in 1996.
I can't wrap my brain around what
either.
The family has been going through for 30 years.
They have been so brave, so courageous, and so willing to talk to all members of the media, not just our station, but everybody else. And it's intense and it's heartbreaking.
Right. Anytime an incident happens with a child, it's heartbreaking, but this has just been an open wound for 30 years.
Really, on this community.
Yeah, on the whole community.
Because everyone talks about her. I remember when I was teaching adults, one of my students said, "I saw her at a party. I know she's still alive. I know it was her." But that happened not infrequently. Someone would say, "I saw her. She was spotted here. She was spotted there." At least 2 excavation type incidents
Right.
have happened that I know of,
Yeah.
where they've been digging and looking for something in the Illinois Quad Cities. Pardon me.
Yeah, one of them was across the street from my house,
Oh, Sharon.
and it was startling, unnerving. I was freelancing for another outlet, so I called them when you start seeing all the squad cars show up, and they had me cover it until they could get another reporter out there. And it was
What did it look like?
it was a big open, like a lot, like you have a neighborhood, and then there's a lot where there isn't a house,
Right.
so that's just what it is. And they started digging. The neighbors were across the street watching. Nobody was wanting to get near, of course.
Right.
They had a cadaver dog, and it kept, what do they go, hitting when it finds things. So every time it would stop, they'd stop the digging, and we were all almost nauseated. We were so freaked out. But it's been so many years. There's a lot of animals out there that have died, raccoons and squirrels. So it would find, something, but it would be a squirrel. So then we'd have to, and then it's like, okay, it's not her. Back at it. And they never did find anything out there. But that was, for me, it was traumatic because I could see it across the street from my kitchen window. And I was thinking, have I been looking out the window at where this poor girl has been for all these years? Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah, I mean,
but there's no way you could blame
no-
yourself, and there's no way.
But it's still the ick factor,
Yes.
for lack of better phrasing.
Wow. No, I think that's perfectly phrased. So there's so many threads we want to follow in this. Obviously, the biggest is Jameson Fisher.
And of course, everybody is guilty or innocent until proven guilty. So.
Absolutely. And both state's attorneys from Rock Island and Henry County mentioned that at the news conference. Right. Detective Griffin has been assigned from Moline, has been assigned to this case for years and years. And I do not know what yesterday was like for him.
Yeah.
But at least we have forward movement.
Right.
And I think you and I will probably take turns in the courtroom, and we will be following documents as this case progresses.
Yeah.
And we will keep people apprised of any development that we can find out about.
Because this is literally becoming nationwide news. It was on CBS last night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's quite a story.
Yeah.
And honestly, at my age now, I wasn't sure anything would ever develop from this.
So.
But we do encourage you to visit our website, because we have stories on our website. We featured in our Vanished QC, right. We featured Trudy in one episode, and you can go back and read about Mr. Fisher and the search that you're talking about. We wrote about that. So we encourage people to do that. And I guess stay tuned. Yeah. I would say that if you do think you have something that you remember, it wouldn't hurt to call law enforcement.
It's never too late. It's never too late. Okay.
So with that, stay safe out there, everybody. Lock your doors.
Cars in house.
Cars in house. And thank you for listening.
Yeah.